Okay, there we go. Before we always prepare for these virtual events, but we do ask for your patience. It looks like we're going to be technical difficulty free. As you heard, we are recording this engagement session. And you don't need to remain on mute. I'm just reviewing the housekeeping items as I go here. We will, you should probably remain on mute. We all will remain on mute while Aaron is doing the presentation and while others are speaking. And if you have questions throughout the session, please use the hand raise feature, or I don't know, Sonia, if you're familiar with this platform, but it's on the top of your screen there. Great. As I mentioned, the event is being recorded. It's going to be made available on participate.rmwb.ca to view and to share. And we encourage you to be part of creating, it's going to be a great space tonight where we're going to share the presentation and really, really look forward to hearing your thoughts. So our agenda will begin with the introduction, and Aaron will lead us into the Cultural Infrastructure Needs Assessment presentation, followed by a time for Q&A and open discussion. So on that note, why don't we go around and do introductions, and then I'll have Aaron take it away and lead us into the presentation. And maybe we'll start with Aaron.
Great. Thanks so much, Anne-Lisa. My name is Erin Pote, and I work for Expedition Management Consulting. So we are the consultant that was hired by the regional municipality to conduct the Cultural Infrastructure Needs Assessment, and I'll be the facilitator for tonight.
Great.
And thanks.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to pass it on over to maybe Jessica. She's first on my list.
Awesome.
Sure. Yeah, hey Sonia, you know me. So I'm a coordinator with the Culture and Social Development branch of the RMWB, and I'm working with Faithia on this project.
Awesome. And Faithia?
Yes, good evening. Faithia Dearden, coordinator with the Community and Protective Services Department with the RMWB. Welcome, Sonia. Thank you. You're always so faithful.
Wonderful. And if you would introduce yourself, Sonia, please.
Sorry, I'm actually trying to get the link to someone that would like to come on. So if you could, anyway, my name is Sonia Brooksmith, artist at large. I work at the Stalio Association Friendship Center as a youth coordinator, community connector. That would be me.
I'm so glad you could join. So can we get, do you have the link, and do you require it to be resent, or?
I have a link, and she's trying to use it and she can't get on. So I don't know what the issue is. So here, I'll try sending this again, and I'll just try giving her the actual meeting ID, because I know sometimes technology can be funky, and in Anzac, the internet can be really funky.
Yeah, Deanna's just shared it again in the chat there. Okay, we'll maybe give a minute or two here. We're okay, Aaron. I think with just a minute or two more with the smaller group. Yeah. Okay. Was Lauren in contact with you today, Sonia, in our department? Oh, is she off?
Sorry. I'm not sure who I was speaking to. I was speaking to somebody.
Yeah, it would be Lauren. Yeah, she'll be working with you as from now on. So that's great. You connected with her. She and I were emailing back and forth, making sure that you had the date. So I'm really glad. It's last minute notice for you, I know. So that's great.
Yeah, so I did reach out to some people today, and I think that there would be interest, but then there was also a little bit of, I guess, I don't know what to call it, just a little bit they didn't really see the point. They felt that they had given input, and one of the suggestions from one person was usually how things are done out there is that everybody gets a mass text, and that you guys do have all the information to the folks out there. So I guess that's been done before. Now I did not get from which department did a massive text to engage people, but that was one of the suggestions. Just because they are on some database. So I'm not sure what that was. I didn't really get into it because I work a day job too, so it's quite busy. And I did up on Facebook, so I'm just going to quickly check there too to see. I did offer that if somebody wanted to attend, that I would send the link. So I hadn't checked it before jumping on here because I was busy with something else. So if you give me a minute.
Sure, and there'll be opportunity next week as well if they'd like to participate. But I can look into that. Maybe our rural office has that text list. Well, maybe Aaron, I don't know if you want to get going. I'll leave it up to you. I'm going to hand it over to you and you can use your best judgment. I haven't seen the presentation, but if you'd like to get started, I'll hand it to you. Thank you.
Yes, it's quite a short presentation. So if we do have others join, I think we can just go back and just catch them up to where we are. So it's just kind of why we're doing this and where we are now. Okay. So yeah, so we'll get started. My computer is being a little bit funny too. So here's the agenda for tonight. So we've gone through our introductions. I'm going to give a quick overview of the project, and then there's going to be the input opportunity. So that's when we're going to be asking a couple of questions and getting the input from you, Sonia, and from anybody else that can join us tonight. So this is the project deliverable. We're developing a well-supported data-driven needs assessment for cultural infrastructure in the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo. So what is cultural infrastructure? Cultural infrastructure offers spaces for cultural activities to take place. So just a few examples include art studios and galleries, dance studios, green spaces, parks, community halls, theaters, and performing arts centers. And some of the other examples in the region include the Suncor Energy Center for the Performing Arts, Fort McMurray Heritage Village, Mac Island, and Centerfire Place. So Sonia, if you're there, I was just going to ask, what are some examples in Anzac or in your area of the cultural infrastructure spaces?
So there is the community center out at the extension of Mac Island. Like, oh, you're catching me on it's been a busy day. And then there is Camp Yogi, which now has like a sort of a Quonset building. And so there's not really a lot of spaces in like municipal spaces, I guess. Yeah.
Great. Good. Well, we'll get into, what you think is missing or what are some of the limitations, but I just wanted to check in and see, if there was any spaces that came to mind in your area. Thanks. So what is a cultural infrastructure needs assessment? It is a study that seeks to understand the current state of cultural facility provision and identify future facility needs. So one of the inputs is community engagement, and that's what all of these meetings and the surveys, and we'll fill you in a little bit more about what that community engagement piece is. That's one piece of it. We're also going to include current supply of facilities, any gaps in services, attendance at existing facilities, programming at existing facilities, any trends, and consultant assessment. So all of that information will be taken into account to build the needs assessment. And this graphic here just shows the phases of the project. And you can see that our current phase is engagement. That's phase 2. There's phase 3, 4, and 5 still to come. So after we have gathered all of the data and the input and feedback from folks, we'll be analyzing and prioritizing that feedback. We will draft the needs assessment, and then the final phase is phase 5, where we have the final needs assessment. Sorry, I lost my page. What happened? Can you guys still hear me okay?
Erin,
We can't hear you.
we can't, yeah, sorry, we can't see your presentation. We're all just realizing we can't. I thought it was just my laptop, but it is saying that you have started screen sharing, but we cannot see the slides.
Okay, I will stop. So this is a new computer and my phone was ringing. And so that I think it switched over. It's all connected now. Nope, okay. not you. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yay.
There we
okay.
go.
There you go.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Jessica.
Great. Okay, so this is just, again, that graphic that lets you know where we are in the process, and that our final deliverable is the needs assessment, the final needs assessment in phase 5. And a little bit more about the level of community engagement. So our engagement goal is to work directly with residents, cultural organizations, and communities in the region to ensure that their concerns and aspirations are considered. Your input will be directly reflected in the assessment, and that the decision-making responsibility is with the RMWB Council. So they're going to get that final needs assessment, and then from there, they're going to be having to make some decisions about what they would like to implement or what they would like to plan, and they will use the needs assessment to make those decisions. Okay, so a little bit more about the input opportunities. So we have all of that information on the participate.rmwb.ca website. There is a survey. So I know, Sonia, that you've done great work to try and help us spread the word today. So that's great. There is also a survey that people can take until December 6th, which I realize is coming up soon. Tomorrow is the 1st already. So there is still some time though. If you want to share that opportunity with people, that would be great. And there is also some additional public workshops. So on December 6th and on December 9th. There we have also a cultural organization survey that closes on December 6th. So that's a different link that's on that same participate.rmwb.ca website. We've also just completed the cultural organization input workshop. So our last one was last Thursday. So those have concluded, but there is still an opportunity to complete the survey that's online. And a couple just additional input opportunities. Again, all of that information is on the website. There's sessions with Indigenous partners. There's input opportunities for the council and committees of council. Also, there are interviews that we are doing and an open offer for engagement. So again, there is that information on the website if you're looking to give some more feedback, or any of your contacts or people in your network are looking to give their feedback, and these opportunities, you know, the survey or the other times don't work for them, then please just have them reach out and we'll do our best to make sure that we set something up so that we can get their feedback as well. Okay, and so all of this will result in a document that is reflective of the need for cultural spaces and infrastructure in the region. And that's it. That's our quick little synopsis. Is there any questions before we get into the input opportunity? Okay, so we'll move right along. So we have a couple of questions here. This is question number 1. It's around facility limitations. So Sonia, we're just wondering, are there cultural programs that are currently limited or cannot be offered in your community due to the facility limitations?
Okay, I just want to maybe correct some information. So I actually
Sure.
live in the urban area, but I do have connections to the rural through my job at Municipality.
Okay.
So when I was talking today, it was about to just use to actually just reach out to people and try and get them to come tonight. So that's
Okay.
where I came in. And when I was reaching out, I guess there is quite a bit of limitation, and a lot of what I heard when I was calling, and I guess when nobody shows, even after long conversations, and I did spend quite a bit of time this afternoon trying to engage people. So I guess when nobody comes, it's sort of a loud statement as well. And a big part of what I heard is just that the locals don't feel welcome to participate, and they don't feel that, hey, their needs are listened to, their art ideas, because I talked with one artist, she wanted to do murals, and she couldn't even get the price of a can of paint from the municipality. So I think a lot of coming from the perspective of the people I spoke to, and I guess I've become the voice today, is that they have sat down to a lot of engagement. And I feel the same way too, actually, because this is another cultural and art plan, and we just had one 2 years ago, and I don't even know what happened to all those recommendations. But I know myself, I've been sitting down at tables fairly steady for art and culture since 2009. And out of all the things that we were sort of carrots dangled in front of us, like, you're going to get an art gallery when we build Mac Island. And we ended up fighting, folks ended up fighting for a little hallway, which, any artist who's ever put their work up knows that if it's going to Mac Island into that hallway, that you're going to be reframing it. Because of the moisture in the air, for instance, warps your work. There's just a lot of promises made, or maybe not promises, but a lot of firing up. Hey, we're going to do this. It's going to be great, and then poof, it goes away, and you don't even know what happened to it. It's just like and there's so much start and stop. And now with COVID, I think, our arts community for sure is suffering like no other. Because the arts are about engagement with people. If you can't show your work, you can't, and online does not have the same connection to, being in person, which I understand, with COVID, we can't. But that for an artist is like, cutting off, an appendage, really. It's like losing your phone. You feel a little empty, a little lost. There hasn't been much work done in the sense of really, inspiring artists to do something. And then one of the other things that was told to me today was that basically, the Public Art Committee, it's about being told what to do rather than asking and having locals decide what they do in their community. And so what I heard today, and I talked to 5 people, and that's what I heard, was basically they did not feel welcome, and they're sick of promises. So I did say, well, if we don't come to the table, then, we got to just keep coming to the table, hopefully, to make change happen. But, again, it's a lot of studies that have been done in the past 12 years. And, out of all those suggestions, and there were some pretty cool ones, like I remember Gary Boutique with the mobile bus, and, where did these ideas go? And so I kind of get it, where people are just disengaged, and more so even now with COVID. And also the timing of this. This is, just before Christmas and stuff. And I think people are really just trying to survive what has gone on. And, probably maybe people would have more time on the January side of things rather than now, right? It's busy. for kids at school, you know, they're ramping up to get out soon. So Christmas concerts, things like that. So I think the timing possibly too could be off. And definitely at 6 o'clock, it's off because people are feeding their families, right? Just a suggestion.
Oh, did we lose you there? Oh, you're back. Sorry, I lost you for a second.
And so the facilities out there, I think there's a charge for them. And so if you're really in the rural, like, you know, as an artist, you're not making a lot of money. You don't have a lot of opportunities to sell your work. You have to pretty well come into Fort McMurray to do those kinds of things. And I don't think people are really set up in Fort McMurray, period, to do business in the arts. So unless there's a zero cost and some, you know, sort of, what do you call it? Some money put into it to help people get on their feet and be able to actually put and do the things they would like to do with the public. I think we're always going to, and this, like I say, I got into like heavily doing things in the arts since about 2009. Prior to that, and one person that can tell you all of the studies, he could probably name it all off, is Gary Vertique. And he's one of our senior artists. And we've seen so much of this come and go, come and go. So, and it's always about money. And it's like there's an investment into Arts Council. And again, not to say art, to badmouth, I'm not, but I don't even understand really anymore what they do. And that's the sort of the feeling of most people. They don't understand where it's going, what it's doing, because the opportunities for local artists are not there. And the pie is so small that, you know, I think it needs you know, an actual, like for instance, I spent some time down in Nelson with their Arts Council. I was actually, just before COVID hit, I was working on a project to do an artist exchange. And one of the things I really liked there was every year, an artist can apply for a small grant to do a project, to do an exhibit somewhere in Nelson, right? So they've come up with all these actual events that artists themselves, you know, put together, can have the money to make the work, you know, and it wasn't like huge money. I think the grant was $1,000, but it was something. I think here what goes on, and especially in the rural, it's just so disconnected to Fort McMurray. Everything, they feel everything is about Fort McMurray. And even if you're going out there, I don't think the facilities are utilized properly, and the locals feel like it's out of their reach.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing their perspective and for sharing that with all of us, because I know the folks here on the call that work for the regional municipality are taking some of that engagement feedback, just in terms of what you've shared about, you know, how people might not be feeling welcome, or that there's like some engagement fatigue around you know, coming to the table and not seeing any, you know, follow through or loop back, or, you know, something tangible coming from those conversations. So I think those are all really great points to share. And I know you talked about,
I want to be a Debbie Downer, and I think that's actually why everybody stayed off the call, right? Is maybe, you know, they know I'm going to say it, you know, whereas maybe also the other part is, and it's a big part, is that if you are honest, you can be chastised for your honesty, you know, and this is very true. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I think it keeps a lot of people are scared to speak up because there is such a limited amount of opportunities that they don't want to mess it up. You know, that's how I kind of feel tonight. I feel like, oh, I became this spokesperson, and I really had, I'm on something totally different, right? You know, so again, And Anzac is really near and dear to my heart. I have a great relationship with actually the land out there. And it's seen me through most of my life. And I go out there, and it's always amazing to me that when I talk to people who have lived here for years and years and they've never been out. It's a great community and it's very close knit. And I guess probably the place that people have to start is with those relationships of maybe attending their events and talking to them maybe in a more casual way. I think when it comes to this stuff, there's a multitude of barriers that people feel are there, and they may or may not be there. But I do understand that disengagement part, because a lot of people just go, what's the point? What's the point of doing it again? I'm a little bit of a stubborn person, so I just show up anyway, because I go, okay, if we stop going, then the decisions get made for us, right?
Right. No, and thank you for showing up, because I think that's really important. Everybody that's here wants to hear that feedback, good or bad. So please don't feel like you're being the Debbie Downer, because I think that's really important. And there is a difference between, maybe what the rural folks are feeling and what's happening, in town, and that disconnection there that some people are feeling. Sorry, I see your hand, Sala.
Oh, it's okay. You just finish and then.
Sonia, do you want to go?
Yeah. I just want to add, it's not just the rural. I think the urban is pretty much on that same page.
Great, thanks. Asala, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so the reason why we are doing this engagement and this project is because it's part of the implementation of the culture plan that you were referring to, that you were working on. We have done the culture plan a couple of years ago, and then last year we did the public art plan. So all that is an implementation of the plan that was created before with the stakeholders and the community. So there has been some movement in terms of what has been implemented. I do understand that there's still limitations and work to do, but we want to hear in this case about what is needed in the community, what spaces are needed from the community, and that's what we are trying to understand, so we can put the investment in the future. So I think this conversation is very important, and it's great that you are willing to share your thoughts and talk to us about this. But I mean, certainly sometimes it's not, we maybe have to communicate better on what are the status of the implementation of the plans that we have done in the past, so that we can that the links are understood by not only for municipal staff, but for the community as well. But thank you very much for that comment.
Great, thank you very much. So there is that link back to the plan, and this is part of the implementation. And I know, Sonia, you had said that there wasn't any spaces even in Fort McMurray. So is there anything you wanted to expand on there? Like what in particular, or specifically, someone is joining us. I'm just gonna let them in and we'll keep going. Is there anything specifically that you would want to share about those, programs that can't be offered? I know you had said the gallery space that's at Mac Island.
To money, right? It always comes down to money. And, it's difficult, I think, for folks who are doing well to understand, like a lot of artists are working day jobs that they absolutely are only doing for survival, for starters. Your art in Fort McMurray ends up, it's very difficult to make a career out of it and for instance, like the bench project. So I did put in for the bench, and was told that there wasn't applications put in. So then that person asked me, why did I think? And it's again, the call outs are so complicated in the sense of, like, if you're not computer literate, things like that, it's hard. There needs to be some hand holding through your processes. Because even myself, like I came across a vendor package, and I remember like how much back and forth Teresa and I did for me to get that filled out and put in. So, and I made a lot of noise about the process, and it got changed back. And then COVID, because of not being able to be in person, it's back to the old way, which is super complicated, right? To even, and proposal writing. So a lot of people, I've sent them over to Arts Council. Again, some people get help, some people don't. I don't know, I don't know past the referral point what really went wrong, why they didn't continue or whatever. But I think it's like this, when you're being told what to do, or instead of being allowed the freedom to explore what you need to do, because I do believe grassroots stuff has, and having spent a lot of time in BC, and Kelowna and Nelson area particularly, I mean, it's vibrant, it's alive, and the artists have a lot of say in what's going to be done. And so I think that's kind of disconnect, right? And just the money, right? Like your supplies, you can't just walk into a store here and go pick up your supplies. This is, I mean, thank goodness for online shopping, but then again, you order online, you can get a totally different thing than what you thought you were getting. So, and I think the artist community itself, since the fire, really, I have not seen a good healing happen in our sector. It's been just holding on, and I think COVID was like almost like a KO punch. And to even get inspired to do stuff, so not to say that, the municipality owes us psychologists and healing, but, there's got to be a better way than what's currently out there to make artists feel valued, and to be able to do the projects that you want to do, and when it comes to Indigenous, like right now, I've got, as the Friendship Center, we invested into Arts Council's marketplace, and I know lots of people who are making stuff and trying to get them over to go, okay, take pictures of your stuff and put it up on the site. There's just, some scratchy stuff there, and like I can only speak to myself that, I am a member, but I haven't, any support and stuff. I've pretty well gone elsewhere for it. So I think it's about spending money wisely too, And
thank you for that. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I just wanted to say hi to Cleo and just make sure, can you hear me okay? Or can you hear us? Sonia, is Cleo someone that you had invited to come tonight? Oh, you're there. Okay.
Yeah. Hi.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no problem. I just found out about this, so.
Okay. Well, maybe we can take 5 minutes. There's a short presentation. I'll just maybe show a couple slides if that's okay, just to orient you to where we are. We're actually just on the first question, just talking through, just hearing a little bit about the engagement process and kind of what's missing with artists, and being able to have some freedom and autonomy to do the kind of work that they want to do. Sonia was just sharing a bit of that. So I'm just going to back up here. Can you see my screen okay?
Hold on a second. I'm worried my phone might die, so I have to make sure it's plugged in here.
Sure.
Okay, I can't see the screen. Oh yeah, I can see it now.
Oh, okay, super. Great. Well, I can just go through a couple of these slides really quickly, just to kind of give you a little bit of background, and then we can head back into the questions. So my name's Erin, and I work for Expedition Management Consulting, and we are the consultants that have been hired by the regional municipality to conduct a cultural infrastructure needs assessment. And so we just wanted to kind of give people an idea of what cultural infrastructure is. And so there's some examples there: art studios and galleries, dance studios, community halls, green spaces, theaters, performing arts. And then we've got a couple examples here within the region: Suncor Energy Center for the Performing Arts, the Fort McMurray Heritage Village, Mac Island, and Center Fire Place. So Cleo, can you tell us where you are in the municipality? Checking to see they're still there.
Sorry, I just unmuted myself.
Yeah, no problem.
I didn't realize I muted again. Yeah, no, by Anzac. I'm in the Fort McMurray First Nation area there, and it's close to Anzac.
Okay, perfect. And we had asked Sonia if there was any other examples that you could give about cultural infrastructure in the area where you live. Is there anything that comes to mind when you take a look at these lists that we should be aware of?
Oh, that you should know about, that you don't know about, you mean?
Yeah, just like what the community uses for cultural infrastructure space. So is there, we heard of that community center, and there's some examples here. Is there anything that you wanted to share about spaces that you use?
Well, because I reside on the Fort McMurray First Nation Reserve, we don't have we have a place that it's kind of a multi-use area.
Okay.
But it's not specifically there for a cultural or our artist kind of focused space. It's not that kind of thing. It's a multi-use, and it's for meetings and whatever kind of gatherings.
Yeah.
And then there's Camp Yogi. That's the new hall. That's in Anzac. And so a lot of people, including us, would rent it out, right, for different purposes too.
Right.
The rec center, which you are aware of, it's mostly recreation there, but they have meeting spaces. So, I just don't think there is a cultural space or a artistic space that we can call like an artist center or anything like that. There's nothing there that I could point out.
Great. Well, thanks for that. That was really helpful. Just to get a sense here. So with the cultural needs assessment, so we're looking to understand the current state of the facilities in the area and identify any future facility needs, and the community engagement process. So this meeting tonight and a couple other community engagement inputs that we have that I'll just talk about briefly. One of the inputs that will go into the cultural infrastructure needs assessment, but there's a few other things like the current supply of facilities, any gaps in services, attendance at existing facilities, programming, trends, and any consultant assessments. So we know that all of this stuff exists, but we really want to hear from the community in terms of what you feel is missing or what you feel, your experience has been like. So we have, go ahead. If you have, please share. I was just going to say, we're in this phase 2.
We have a gas station that's located on Fort McMurray First Nation Reserve land on Highway 881. They have a place where they can actually sell artistic, art products and crafts and things like that. But there's nothing like set aside just for that. It's kind of like it would be in there somewhere. So this is something I think we've been thinking about is some kind of a cultural or like a gift store where we would have our crafts and you know, different things like that we want to, that would be for sale. So that's crafts, you know, but then, you know, there's other artistic endeavors that people are interested in, and there's just nothing available, such as, you know, like drama or video production, you know, that kind of thing. And then there's all the cultural stuff that's happening, and we'll be doing a lot of cultural stuff, but we're going to be, like I said, using our space that's kind of the multi-use space.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And I just zipped back to this question because you were kind of heading down that road, but I'll just tell you quickly that, you know, we're looking to get as much input from different folks, just, you know, whatever diverse perspectives or input they have. And so there is a survey that's open, and it's on the participate.rmwb.ca website. I'll flip to that slide again in a minute, but that is open until December 6th. So if you want to share this opportunity with other folks, then that would be great, because there is some time, and there is some other meetings coming up next week as well. So I'll just flip back to there once we're finished talking things through. But I just wanted to come back to this question because you were talking about some programs or needs that you've identified that aren't available in your community. So I was just writing those ones down, that you're using the multi-use space for cultural events. And so what would you like to see available? A craft store was one of the ideas that I had down.
Definitely a craft store. I mean, the recreation center has lots of space. It's just, you know, I guess getting the use of it, and I know that there's a cost to everything, and then, you know, to get the programming, like all the stuff that's needed for the programs, that's another thing. Like we have our own, but it's coming up, like when we're going to be doing various programs, but it's really for the membership, not for public at large. So so yeah, that would be specifically for the people that reside there or part of the Fort McMurray First Nation membership. Yeah. So there's, other than that, there's nothing else that we could, you know, say that we could, like there's no other shared facility with anybody else going on there. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And maybe I'll just flip to question 2 and see if Sonia has any other thoughts as well. So this question is just asking about priorities. So I kind of skipped over this quickly, Cleo, but we're in phase 2 of the project right now, which is engagement, where we're out talking to folks and collecting data and all of your input. But then the next phase 3, will be about like analyzing all that information and prioritizing it. So we wanted to kind of get a sense of, and Sonia, jump in here too, what are your top 3 cultural facilities that you think are needed to meet the needs of the community now and into the future? So this could be facilities that already exist that need to be upgraded, or even new facilities that you'd like to see. So is there a top 3 things that come to mind, or even top 1 or 2 that you think your community needs?
When you say our community, you're talking about the Fort McMurray First Nation, or are you talking about Anzac, or?
I'm talking about the regional municipality. So we're looking at all the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo and what's needed there to meet the needs of the community. But you can speak specifically to your area as well, because I think that information is really helpful to know, you know, what the folks or what you're, you know, identify as a priority.
Well, there's, you know, the whole field of cultural tourism is something that could be investigated. And that's not really been, there hasn't been anything that developed, you know, for that kind of thing, or in development, you know. So I think at some point that would really be a good thing.
And when you think about the cultural tourism, what kinds of things would you like to see happening?
Well, you could have an experience that's a total Indigenous, kind of experiential kind of activities, like have people get involved in making crafts, doing, birch bark basketry, or doing, making tea, or doing beadwork or something like that. There's things like that. There's ideas out there, just we haven't really looked at it fully. I'm been around for a while, and it's something that probably we'd like to see it happen. It just hasn't become the focus of any of the work that's been going on, and doing other stuff that's more urgent. So that's just kind of has never been, worked on really to get anything going there. But there's so many things that could be done.
And that's super helpful, because the project is about like assessing the needs of the cultural infrastructure, but just to know that, in the future that, that kind of experience or that kind of cultural tourism is something that, the community would be really interested in is great. And I'm just like listing off some of sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking, I think that was kind of a plan that was put out there a few years ago, when community comprehensive community plan was put together, is having something like that. But that's it hasn't actually, it was just kind of there, not it has no actual work has gone into it. And that was, like having it could be anything. It could be something like having a teepee village or something like that too. They have these in different places, right? Like did you go to the Fort Edmonton, the Indigenous experience?
Yes, I went, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
I took my kids and we checked it out. Yeah, if you get a chance to go, if you're in town, I'm just outside of Edmonton, actually, just about half an hour outside of Edmonton. So yeah, we went in the fall with all the beautiful colors. It was awesome.
Yeah, so that one, you can see that there's been a huge, budget for that one.
Right.
But that sort of thing, it's quite nice to see that, and there's other such things that could be done, but not quite on that scale. But yeah, more local stuff, local history, local culture, that kind of thing.
And I just wanted to circle back, because I heard you like listing off some of the activities that you think. So making crafts, basketry, making tea and beadwork. Are there facilities now that you use? Is it the multi-purpose facility that generally you would use for that type of
more like that? Yeah.
Okay. Of activities. And I'll just touch base back again with Sonia. Is there anything you'd like to add about some the top 3 cultural facilities that you think are needed in the community?
So I think there actually needs to be a cultural center that highlights our Indigenous history. And one of the things that has happened, and I just became aware of it last year, but between the fire and the flood, and the flood, the actual 2013 flood in Heritage Park, saw all the artifacts get ruined. So they returned the building back to the original, because it was actually the first Friendship Center, but because they lost the artifacts, they went back to the fact that the building was donated by a hardware store, right? That was the original purpose of the building. So they reverted it back. So when we're looking at Heritage Village, that representation of our Indigenous, and even, like I see some things popping up, which are great to see, like, the signage in Dene and Cree, but an actual facility that, shows and perhaps is the caretaker of our culture, because one of the things I'm doing right now is I teach a Cree program. And when I went looking for our dialect, which is like a bush Cree, it's, called, and it's a mixture of Michif and Cree. So it's like, it's got its own, the base words are the same as Southern, but it has its own dialect on it. And when I went to go looking for resources, because I went, okay, somebody had to write something somewhere at some point in time, I was surprised to find that, first off, I couldn't get into Heritage Village without to go through any kind of reel without paying to go in. And then it was like an $800 price tag to pull up what's on microfilm. Then I went to the schools, and because the schools had to throw out stuff in 2016 over the fire, and what was left of the actual Cree resources for this region here in Fort McMurray, they were kept in one of the schools downtown. It was flooded. So gone is this written material, right? And so to me, it's really become critical to, preserve that history, because it's just sort of like everything else that we've seen in Fort McMurray, all our old buildings, during the booming times, everything just got mowed down. And then we had natural disasters take some more stuff away. That I think it's a critical point to retain history, to get our elders' stories, to have a depository and a place people can go and actually experience it. Because right now, like we do a lot through, we're still out of our center because of the flood. We're victims of the supply chain. We have stuff that's stuck on who knows where. But, we're coming up on 2 years where we are not in our building. And we lost everything too. Like we absolutely have nothing left of the past. And I think that is very dangerous for an area, and I think that if I was to put a number one priority, that would be it. And I realize the Métis are building a cultural center, but yeah.
Great. And, that's super. Thanks for sharing that. That's really helpful. And I just want to be mindful of the time as well. We have a couple minutes left. So I just wanted to throw it back out there to see if there was any other thoughts on either the facility priorities or facility limitations. I think I have a sense of, what's really important to you in terms of facilities now and into the future. But if there's anything else, I'll maybe just give you another minute while I flip to the slides just to show Cleo the other engagement opportunities that are still out there. But Sonia or Cleo, if you have anything else to add.
And sorry, Erin, we are going to have to exit off. We have another engagement starting right at 7.
Okay, super. Okay, so I will just wrap that up then. That Cleo, we have the resident survey that's open until December 6th, and there's a couple other workshops there, but please go to the participate.rmwb.ca to get all of that information on the website, December 6th and December 9th for additional workshops. And please share the opportunities with your friends and your networks. And, the more people we hear from, the more, input that we can use into the needs assessment. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Sorry if you had any troubles connecting, but we're really glad you made it.
Thanks, Cleo.
Oh, no, thank you. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
You're on mute,
I'm sure we'll talk again.
Okay.
Sorry, don't hang up yet. If you have, did they hang up? If you have time to come into our Heritage Resource Management Plan session, I've put the link in the chat, and that's another plan we would love to have your input on, Sonia and Cleo, especially from the Indigenous perspective. So thank you so much again, as Erin has said, for your time and your input. And the surveys are open. And if you would like to share, there's 2 more workshops coming up next week on December 6th and December 9th. If other people are interested, urban and rural specific. All right.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so if you're able to join us, link right back in, and we'd love to talk to you some more. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.